never give them money up front, right? I broke the number one rule of flipping houses. I gave a contractor money up front and, well, never got the work done, never heard from him again. He actually blocked me. And then I found out what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Derek, aka Flippingahouse, and if you're new here, we talk real estate, financial literacy, and just how to get better. And today I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys. I'm going to share a story with you on how I was scammed. Yes, I lost over $1,200. This happened about 3 weeks ago, but I felt like it was a wonderful opportunity to share with you guys so you can see how to protect yourself, how to see the red flags, and make sure this doesn't happen with you, whether you're investing in real estate or just your day-to-day life and dealing with social media. But stick around, it's going to be a good one. So let's get into it. As I told you guys on the intro, I lost over $1,200 3 weeks ago dealing with a contractor. And I know what you're thinking, Derek, that's a simple fix. Never give them money up front, right? I broke the number one rule of flipping houses. I gave a contractor money up front and, well, never got the work done, never heard from him again. He actually blocked me. And then I found out he scammed people for over hundreds of thousands of dollars. This story is crazy, but I'm gonna share it all with you guys, and like I said, show you the red flags, because even though I'm super experienced, this guy is really good at what he does, and that's how he got me and a few other people, well, actually several other people that I'll talk about in just a minute. But let's talk about how this even began. So about a month and a half ago, I bought a property and we were going to flip it, and it's a bigger property, meaning that the land that it sits on is about half an acre, and originally the house came with the pool. Here's a picture of the front and here's a picture of the back so you guys get reference of what it looked like. So we have this pool in the backyard, and it is a vinyl pool. Now, as you guys know, you have above ground pools, you have below ground. This is, as you saw from the picture, a below ground pool or underground pool, but it was made of vinyl, right? And this is just like an old cheap way of doing pools. You know, normally now you would spray concrete and have rebar and like have a nice setup. That's how most people do it. And I had quote from a lot of people suggesting that that's what I should turn this pool into, but it ranged anywhere from $15,000 all the way up to $30,000. Now, anytime you're flipping a house, we always are looking to mitigate our risk, and I had put aside a decent portion to renovate the outside of the property, or, you know, landscaping. There's 2 sheds on the property. I had to have those cleaned up. I had to have a lot of brush cut back. It's just, it sits on a half acre right outside the city of Houston, and that's very rare, and that's actually what attracted me to the property, on top of the good numbers. Now, just so you guys know, we acquired this property for $110,000, and as it sits, even without the pool, it's worth around $220,000 to $230,000. Now, this house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it sits around 1,500 square feet. Now, when we purchased the property, the most attractive feature to me was the land. Like I said, it sits on half an acre, and this is right outside the city of Houston, and it came with this pool that I thought could be saved. But after reaching out to multiple people and having them look, they told me it was a vinyl pool and that they don't actually service these type of pools anymore. They're just a pain in the butt. You have to get a liner. It's just like a whole process. And this one, as you saw from the picture, was basically a swamp that had been vacant and not used for at least 5 to probably 10 years. Now, I finally found someone who told me they could fix the pool, and they gave me a price which was around $6,000. And even though I didn't want to spend that much on the pool, I knew that this was a major selling point that I would get my return on if I spent that money. So I agreed to do it, and what happened is it took about 3 weeks for the guy to get started, and this guy was recommended from my GC, and he seemed very promising on what he was going to be able to deliver. But you know, some of those delays came in with the rain and the weather and draining the pool. And as you guys know, when flipping a house that has a pool, you can't just drain the pool into the yard, especially when it's going to rain, because that will cause even more issues, whether the pool itself to crumble due to all the wetness or a leak. Like, there's just so many things that can happen, even depending on how close it is to the house. So you have to be very careful. But we had a lot of rain, and it took 3 weeks for this guy to get started. And then right when he was supposed to get started, he told me, hey Derek, this job is just going to be too much. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give you your money back, because I had given him a deposit. Now, I want to note you should never give a contractor money up front. But when you do as many flips as I do, you have to. And this guy was recommended through my GC, but he actually wasn't the problem. I put down a deposit of only $800 and I got that back immediately once he told me he couldn't do the job. He apologized for the delays and we've since used him on other jobs. Now I know you're thinking this is just a bunch of useless information, but I'm telling you this so you can understand how I really got scammed, which is happening right now because I met this other gentleman, right? I almost gave up, and then I had someone message me off of one of the many Facebook posts that I've made and said that he could do the job. But I want to point out this was the first 2 red flags that I overlooked in the situation. Now to give you some brief detail, I made about 6 to 10 posts in different yard sale and Facebook groups, also investing groups looking for contractors that could work on this pool. And I had spoken to a lot, but this guy said he could help me. But the first red flag was he had messaged me from his wife's account on Facebook. Now I should have known this was a red flag, but when he spoke, he was very knowledgeable. Just I can tell by dealing with contractors how serious they are, and I could tell that maybe at some point he had done some contract work or he was just really good at scamming. But he told me he could look at the job. Now I'd ask a lot of questions up front because I wanted to know more about him and who he was, and he made me feel comfortable and he answered the questions adequately. Now the second red flag comes in when I had found out he lived in a certain side of town that was not close to the house, but he told me that he could send one of his guys to go look at it and they would be there in 2 hours. Now given the distance it would take to drive from his location to the house, even worst case if he went himself, that was a feasible time. So he went and he gave me a quote for the job and it came out to around $6,000, which was the quote that I got from the first guy. So I felt like it was very reputable, and other than those 2 small red flags up front, I had nothing to question about the guy. Now I want to remind you all that we are about over halfway through the rehab at this point with the 3-week delay and everything, because I wanted to finish everything around the same time, the pool and the house together. And at this point we're moving along on the house, but the pool, we're still sitting in the water. And so I'm on my second contractor that said he could help me, and he said that he needed money up front. And I was like, hey, I don't normally do that. How do I protect myself? And he sent me all of his information, but this is where I messed up. Anytime a contractor sends you their information, just do a simple Google search. Thank you, Derek. You're welcome, viewer. I'm telling you guys, if you just Google somebody's name, it's amazing what you can find out. But it was the end of a long day. I'm pretty sure it was a Friday, and I had a long weekend with the family planned, and I didn't think much into it because up until this point, I hadn't really seen too many red flags. It's just now that I look back, there's some things that I should have done. So he was requesting $2,000. I sent him $1,000. And I wasn't that worried because I knew worst case, even if he was a scammer, yeah, that sucks to take that loss, but I didn't lose $2,000 or what I come to find out, hundreds of $1,000s from other people that he had scammed. But back to me. I gave him $1,000 and he went out and he took pictures, or so I thought, of the pool. Now, when he sent the pictures, I was at a game with my son. I looked at it, it looked like a pool. He told me he was about to get started draining and that the motor was good, but I had a couple parts that I looked up, right? Because I've never worked on a pool. I looked these parts up to make sure that he was telling the truth and the prices. And this guy was good. And he gave me the prices and he was like, look, I'm gonna go pick up a motor tomorrow. I've already paid my guys to start draining the pool. I just need this money for the other parts. Boom, right? So I send him another $300. And then at this point, I'm getting very suspicious, but I was like, I'm not gonna send any more money until I see a pool drain. Now, the next day comes around, he follows up with me and he sends me a picture of a drain pool, and I just didn't even look into it. It was the bottom of a pool, it was green, and I was like, awesome. He did what he said he was gonna do, and then he requested another $50. Well, the next day when I called him, this is the third red flag, I went straight to voicemail, and I called again, and I called again, and I kept going to voicemail, and I texted him. Well, later that evening, he did call me back and was like, hey, Derek, I'm so sorry, and gave me the mix, right? Or told me whatever I wanted to hear. I'm telling you, this guy was really good. Now, after we talked, I actually felt reassured, and he told me that we should be finished in the next 2 days, and everything was on schedule, and he didn't ask me for more money, and I didn't really think anything about it. Well, that night I got back on Facebook and somebody had made a post talking about the gentleman, saying that he had scammed them and not to pay him money. And I thought it was only right that I look back at all the things that I had done and think, yeah, he probably scammed me too. And I made a post. And at that time I had not only the lady who made the post, but I had another lady and a gentleman reach out. The lady, he had scammed $7,000 from her. The original post on Facebook, it was around $2,000. And then another guy, he had scammed around $15,000 and had never done the work, and he was just really good at scamming. So the story gets even crazier because the lady who made the original Facebook post let me know to Google him, which is why I said you should always Google people. And you can see that this man is actually on trial because after Harvey, a flood that happened here in Houston in 2017, he scammed over $220,000 from elderly people and never did work on their homes. And it's very sad that we're getting close to the end of the video here, and you know, that's how I have to end it. But I think it's just reassuring to know, guys, that even though someone experienced can still fall traps to someone being scammed, and you shouldn't look past the red flag, because my gut told me, but because I was moving so fast, I was in a desperate position, I gave money up front and this gentleman took advantage. Now it could always be worse. I could file a suit, but this guy is literally on trial and he's gonna get convicted and he's gonna go to jail for a really long time. And people asked me to join the lawsuit. I declined just because I have so much going on. You know, I'll take my loss and I'll move on. But I want to share this with you guys because it can happen to anybody. So never give a contractor money up front. Make sure they're messaging you from their profile. If they give you their information, which you should get, always look them up, see who they are, see if they have a rap sheet, maybe even ask in the groups. You know, people are happy to tell you when they lose money. So just, you know, think about that, right? Protect yourself and just be smart with your money. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you made it to the end, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. And if you're not already, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, peace.